Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't wanna miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats, you know that we gotta run it back. Whether on the field or the court, you know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.
All right, what's good, everyone? Welcome to another edition, a special edition of Live Wire Sports Media. Now, we are hours away, a day away from the WNBA 2025 draft. Now, before I even get anything started with Indiana Fever, because this is what I'm going to dive into, and it's about who they should pick, because we already know they don't have a number one first round pick because they traded it, and they have the 19th, 20, and the 33rd pick in the draft. But before I get into that, so today, the Chicago Sky and the Minnesota Lynx. Well, let me put this in better context. The Minnesota Lynx fleeced the Chicago Sky out of a draft pick, and let me pull it up real quick for you because I do not know what the Chicago Sky are doing, but I have to give the Minnesota Lynx a lot of credit because the fact of the matter is that this pick, the way they did this, they could be in the play for Juju. This pick could be a lottery pick, and that's what the rumor is about. This pick could be a lottery pick, and I think that them making a play for somebody big in the next coming year, or they could be looking, at Laura Betts next year. They could be looking at a lot of the people. They could be looking at Olivia Miles. It could be so many different things that the Minnesota Lynx. But they're playing chess, not checkers, guys. So check this out. So Alex Filippo said that the Chicago Sky just acquired the 11th pick overall in the 2025 WNBA Draft from the Minnesota Lynx. In exchange, the Lynx gets the Chicago Sky's 2026 first-round pick, extinguish its previous pick swap with the Sky. Sky now has the 10th and 11th pick in the first round, and I do believe they have the 16th, 17th, something like that. And then also right here, Megan Hall, she also reported the same thing, said the Chicago Sky required the 11th pick in the 2023 in exchange for Chicago, Minnesota to end the right to swap the picks in the first round. Minnesota will hold Chicago's 2026 draft pick without having to swap their own. So that's a major play right there. They don't have to swap a pick with Chicago next year just to acquire their first round pick. So say for instance, if the Chicago Sky does not make the playoffs and they fall down where they was this year to pick, and say they become a lottery pick this year, that pick goes to the Minnesota Lynx. You see how that goes? If the Chicago Sky do not make the playoffs and they fall into the lottery, and the Chicago Sky falls into the lottery again, and say they pick 1 through 5 or 1 through 3, whatever the case might be, or they get the number 1 pick, that pick goes to the Minnesota Lynx. So the Minnesota Lynx pretty much fleeced their way over the Chicago Sky because the Chicago Sky thinking, oh, well, we got multiple picks. We could pick so many different players and we could stockpile. But clowns, the only thing, the thing you have to realize, you can only hold 12 people. So no matter all the players you pick, they're not gonna make your roster. So you just adding picks for no reason because you can't. Half of them is not going to contribute to your team. So and then you're gonna have to the people that you sign, you're gonna have to cut. You're not gonna do that. That's dumb. I would have never did that. I would have just stayed pat. But anyway, enough about the Chicago Sky. On to the Indiana Fever. The Indiana Fever have a fascinating case right now. a really fascinating case. Because the fact of the matter is that these three people right here that I have on the screen, um, Anastasia, I don't know her last name. The young lady in the middle is Madison Eck out of Michigan State, and Annika Salto. She's she she plays overseas as well. Now, the reason why I brought these young ladies up because they are all of them been mentioned in the Indiana Fever Draft board from time to time again. So I spent so much time this afternoon because one of my subscribers asked me to do my pick, and so what I showed you is my pick. Now, and for what I've heard and what I have seen from Annika, she's the truth. And just by going through that, I'm going to put it up for y'all. So Anastasia Coulter, she is projected to be eligible for the 2025 NBA draft. Now, she was 19, but I think she's 20 now because you have to be 20 years old to get into the draft. So that's to be eligible. So as an international player, she needs to be at least 20 years old during the year of the NBA draft, which means she could potentially be drafted in the 2025 draft. And now here's the draft breakdown for her eligibility. Her draft eligibility international players must be 20 years old by December 31st of that draft year. 2025 draft is held this year, um, April 17th. Well, it's actually April 14th. They got it all wrong. So, but she is a 6'1" forward who is expected to be a top prospect in the draft. If she is drafted by a team in 2025, she could potentially begin playing in the WNBA regular season, which typically starts in May. So, um, me personally, she's. I want to give you some of her rundown because I think with the Fever having the 19th and 20th pick, and if she's a hot commodity that we think she is, I will. If I was the Fever, I would package that deal to move up further to acquire her. If she could play this year for this team, I will move up. I will package that 20 and 20, that 19th and 20 pick because guess what? You only could keep 11 spots on your team because the minimum players with only 0 to 2 years, their salaries are only going to be like 66,000. So they can only carry 11 players right now because you got to think about it. They have two training camp signed players that they signed to training camp, but that doesn't mean they'll make the team. Now the question I ask is that if them players that they signed to training camp contracts doesn't make the team, where does that money go? Does that money comes back to them, or and they are able to use it on their draft picks that they pick? That's something that I'm pretty much trying to figure out myself. So if I find out more information about it before the draft tomorrow, because I'm supposed to be going out of town for about a week or so to visit my family. So I'm gonna try my best to do a live on the draft. If not, then I'll do a video recap on it. Nevertheless, I got you. So now, also they can only carry 12 players once they are prorated. Um, and they only could that only could be decreased by the number of games left in the season. Anyway, so but nevertheless, let's get to Anastasia real quick. She's a 6'1" with a wingspan of 6'5". Now, that's crazy because I'm 6'2", but I have a long wingspan. I never measure my wingspan. I just have a long wingspan. So, I mean, it might not be even closer to hers. I could be like 6'3", 6'4", so who knows. But anyway, She has the potential to be the defensive chess piece who can switch onto wings, blitz ball screens, and play a help role as a secondary rim protector. Now, I did look up some information on her from last year, and I think she was 18. She's 19 this year, so I don't know if she'll be able to play this year. But anyway, they could stash her. But nevertheless, she had 23 points, things 10 rebounds or something like that. And she was playing great defense against Kayla Thornton, who played for the Liberty at the time. So she's been playing against older women overseas and everything like that. So that's something to keep in mind right there. But also, um, each coach has their own defensive principle, but it's easy for me to adapt to it. She said, I could guard players in different positions, big or small. It's a plus for me and allows me to get easy points in transition after a good play on defense. As a as a On the offense end, she's a great cutter paired with an impressive mid-air finisher. She's 55.2% from two on the season and a knack for drawing fouls. She is also a rebounder mismatch, averaging 4.3 offensive rebounds per 40 minutes. She's also raw offensively and rarely takes shots outside of the paint. She's 0.2 3-point attempts per game. However, her free throw percentage has improved from 62% in 23-24 to 75% in 24-25, which is a positive develop. And if she's making these kind of contacts to the rim, drawing fouls, yeah, your free throw percentage has to go up, especially because you want to be at least a 80% free throw shooter. You don't want to be too much down in that low range where she's at now. But I think she will continue to get better because if she's one thing I can tell you this, if the Fever draft her and pair her with Caitlin Clark, the way Caitlin Clark wants to push transition, the way they want to run and use her to come in, sometimes to spare, I don't know if she get a lot of playing time right off the bat, but just to see her playing preseason will be a bonus because you could have her sprinting down the floor. She's a cutter. That's something that's going to help Caitlin Clark because Caitlin Clark loves to throw outlet passes. She loves to throw touchdown passes. She loves to throw cutting, backdoor, and all of that. And if you got a person that could cut like that and move without the ball, that's almost like having a second Kelsey Mitchell on your team. You know what I'm saying? Now, she probably can't shoot from three like Kelsey Mitchell, but her speed and athletic ability is going to play a whole plus into that down the line. So, but given it also said given the drop in competition in Russia over the last couple of seasons, there will undoubtedly be question about how her game will translate into W. However, when she is faced with WNBA caliber teams, she has held her own. Like I said, she has held her own. Now, like I said, I'm going back to the little diagram real quick because the fact of the matter is she's young. You could tell she has some size on her. And for her to be athletic the way she is, that's something that Indiana Fever need. They need more athletic ability, especially when you got Clark, Cunningham, Cunningham, Lexi. You got Natasha Howard. You got Kelsey Mitchell, and you got Dewana Bonner. And then you got Sydney Colson. It's easy to have. You need more athletic ability because guess what? When you definitely playing people that like to shoot, teams that like to shoot outside on the wing all the time, guess what? They definitely need to be able to get out and defend. So she would definitely be the first pick of the draft. I don't care what guard or what other person you need. Now, my original pick was before all of this trade stuff and the core thing and the free agents took off. They had Alja Savik for Sylvania at I think what the Fever had number 7 pick at that time, and they had her was the pick for the Fever at that time. And I did videos on her, and I wanted her. Now, say for the instance, if the Fever still wanted her or they needed her, guess what they could do? They definitely could package the 19 or 20 pick and move up into the first round to get her. Or they could do the same thing to make sure they get um Anastasia. So I feel like the Fever could make. I think the Fever will be making some moves. I think they're going to try to find a way to move up into back into the first round tomorrow. I don't think they're gonna stay packed. I think they have a lot of stuff up their sleeve, and throughout this whole offseason, the Indiana Fever has been moving in silence. They have not been letting a lot of people know about anything. So the second person I want to talk about on there is Matt. I had a girl name on here real quick. Let me look. Let me look. Uh, is Matilda Eck. Now she's her. Now at the Fever look at they got her being picked at 33, which that's a good pick. That's a late round pick. They also had them picking Lucy Olson, and they also had her them picking somebody else. What not at 33, but they have do too. Now, me personally, a lot of people want Lucy Olson on the team. Me personally, if you're looking for more shooting and spacing on the floor, then Matilda Eck is the perfect person. Her 3 point percentage is 38%, point five, almost 40%. That's not bad. And one of the top 3 point shooters in the Big Ten this year. She was averaging 2.4 made 3 pointers per game. She also had a career high 6 3 pointers multiple times in the Big Ten against, including against the Fighting Alumni. Also, so she's a consistent 3 point shooter. Consistently demonstrates strong 3 point abilities, become a key part of the Spartans offense. So one thing about this is you need one thing you need is shooting, because if you have somebody like that on the floor, now she could be a viable backup to behind Sydney Colson, because guess what? If we don't bring Sydney Colson back after this year, then there's no final good. She could come in and take that spot. But the thing about it is that, like we said, the Fever only got 2 spots to fill, and most likely they could only fill one spot because they can't bring in anybody back. Now, she also has played overseas as well against a lot of grown people as well. So to me, when it comes down to these two right here, they are, to me, I think they can't be missed. Anastasia and Matilda, because you need defense and ability and to be able to run the floor and shot blocking ability at the rim. Plus, you need to be spaced out for 3 pointers as well. Just like how the Minnesota Lynx use Bridget Carlton and Lana Smith over there. They space them out to shoot threes. And you could hurt a team like that, especially, and you think about this. If you had somebody like Matilda on the floor with a Kelsey Mitchell and a Caitlin Clark, and they all hitting threes. Matter of fact, you could add the Wanda Bonner in that mix. You could add Sophie Cunningham in that mix. You could mix any way you want. There ain't no team in the league could be able to stop them because they can't defend that. And then they could go small, especially if they could go small and have one person that's one big. Say you could have the Wanda Bonner play. She could play center, and you have everybody else around the rim getting rebounds, running the floor, spotting up for three, going to the basket, cutting, getting easy layups. You will run a team completely off the floor. because they would get so tired. They would not want to run with the Indiana Fever at all. So me personally, now when it comes down to the 33rd pick or the 20th pick, like I say, if the Fever stay pat, these are the picks that's supposed to be there. But I would not pick Matilda at 33. She would be my 20th pick because of her shooting ability. Now they had what Caroline they had Caroline Duchesne from UConn at 6'2", but I looked at her stats, wasn't even good. I don't even think she got any too much playing time with UConn this year. Then they had also Madison Scott from Ole Miss, a 6'2" wing. She's a defensive specialist too, but I always said that the Indiana Fever needs to go international. And like I said, another person was on there was Annika Sovak. She's 6'4" forward, and her specialty is defense as well. I saw an video of her. She's great to defend the 3-point line and defending the rim. She's a shot blocker, closeout, a foot speed, and rebounding. So the Fever has a lot to work with. But me personally, the two positions that they need more defense and they need more spacing on the floor for shooting. So, I mean, I don't think Jalen Brown will make it. I thought she would, but I don't think her and the other girl that signed on training camp, I don't think they're gonna make it. If they don't make it, I like I said before in the early part of this video, I wonder if I wonder if that them training camp salary goes back to the books and they are able to use them to sign players. I don't know. I'm gonna do some more research on it and dig deep and see if I could find out anything about that. So but until then, that's my wrap up. That's my picks for tomorrow. I hope they draft Anastasia and I hope they do draft Matilda. I really like both of them, and I think they could be beneficial for the Indiana Fever and how they want to construct this team because we don't need now some people say we might need another big, but there ain't really too much bigs there to get. I think having good size because if you look at if you look at the Seattle Storm, they really don't have a center. Now, NECA plays, she can play the center a little bit, and you got Izzy McLemore and and you got some other people there, but they got a lot of length, and that's what the Indian Fever, they just need a lot of length, a lot of speed, athletic ability, rim runners, block shots at the rim, and everything like that. So I feel like at the end of the day that the Indiana Fever should be able to pull away this draft satisfied. But I won't be surprised if they package those picks to move up in the first round because anything can happen. You gotta when you think of the draft and stuff like that, you can't get comfortable saying, "Hey, we're gonna stay pat." Now they could stay pat. We never know. But um, at the end of the day, I look at it as how the NFL does it. They don't stay pat. They make trades. They might move up before the trade, before they pick even comes. Boom, boom, boom. So they could work out something with the Chicago Sky, get one of their picks, or they could move up with somebody else. So I just feel like at the end of the day that they going to do something, but we have to wait and see. Now, again, I probably won't be able to. I'll probably be able to make a video tomorrow, video two tomorrow before I leave. I'm not leaving until later in the afternoon. But in the meantime, in the meantime between time, I got you. So, but let me know who you think the Indiana Fever should draft. That's what I want to know from y'all. Leave your comments below. Tell me who you think the Indiana Fever should draft. Who you think they have in mind? Who you think is right for the team? Who you think the team what the team really need? Now, as I looked at the scouting report for the Fever, they said international players. So I gave you two. I gave you Annika, and I gave you Anastasia. Now there was one more I had on there. Didn't her name was Leah Barteling. She's a 5'9" guard also, and she was averaging only 10.5, almost 6 rebounds and 7 assists overseas. For I think she played for Germany, I'm not mistaken. But anyway, that's my time. Thank you for listening to me. Continue to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And until the next time, Live Watch Sports, and I'm out.
Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't wanna miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.